we have a look at the top 100 most played games on Game Pass, or at least we'll look at what are the top few games and what studios are up there for Xbox Game Pass, what people are jumping into, what has most unique players. An interesting list has come out from True Achievements, who has a large database of Xbox gamers if you've signed up to their website, and it's pretty telling. The games that are up top, the same ones that we do know, but it also shows how big of a stranglehold Xbox does have on massive games with tons of users, not just on their platform, but on every platform out there. Call of Duty and the PS5 Pro, it got an update, but there are some issues here again with PSSR, which pushes my point home even further that I think PSSR as of this point is just a beta test. They're just trying to get information on it, and then it will be better for the PlayStation 6. PlayStation is confirming basically their future of games as a service. They're trying to put more resources and efforts into that. We've already seen the failures behind their tries at that with Concord, but they need it, and they need one of their major games as a service from their first parties to be successful in the future. There's some crazy stuff happening with Path of Exile 2 with a hack. SNK is opening up a new studio, plus the Stardew Valley hits a huge number. So we'll talk about all of that. But before we do continue, if you do enjoy daily gaming news and content, make sure to hit the subscribe, share the video, like the video, all that stuff. And let's jump into it here on this New Year's Eve. So when it comes to Game Pass, there's always the question of what are the most played games and on Game Pass and Xbox games in general. And True Achievements has put together a comprehensive list here, a bunch of charts that shows and proves the power of Game Pass. It says here, a chart for the top Xbox games of 2024 once again proves the power of Game Pass, with several on here emerging as clear contenders for the best Game Pass games out there. And they've seen major releases alongside game preview launches. And here are the top 100 Xbox games of 2024. And this is basically going off of unique player counts. And it will not be surprising the titles here that are topping the list. The first one here, which I feel like is a game that is always forgotten that it is owned by Xbox. It is one of the biggest games in the world and has continued to be since basically it got really popular. That is Minecraft. This is obviously published by Xbox Game Studios. They own Mojang. That game is on everything, so they're raking in the cash from every single platform and users from everywhere. And this was well before the entire controversy this year where Xbox had to come out with their business update and say that they were putting games on other platforms. I mean, Minecraft was already out there. Yes, they bought Minecraft when that game was already on every other single platform, but this was, I guess, really early showings of their strategy of trying to make sure everybody on every platform are playing games owned by Xbox. So Minecraft is the top of the list. It was the top of the list last year. I don't really ever see that changing in terms of the unique players. The second one here, Call of Duty, which is now Xbox as well. It moved up from number 4 last year to number 2 this year. I would say this has a big boost because of it being in Game Pass, where it moves up those 2 spots with the overall unique player count. But again, Call of Duty is another one of those games that is on the PlayStation, and it is PlayStation's biggest moneymaker, and it's the top of the charts on PlayStation, so at the top of the charts here on Xbox. So they are raking in the cash from every single platform, which pushes their strategy home. More number 3, Fortnite, not surprising. It was number 3 last year as well. Top on pretty much every single platform out there. It's interesting when you look at the top player numbers on the PlayStation side of things, it is Fortnite. It is at the top of their list. And when it comes to that question as to why people purchase consoles, you look at the top of the list of all of these 2 platform holders here, it is never first-party exclusive titles that are at the top. Call of Duty now is a first-party Xbox game. Minecraft is also a first-party Xbox game, but they aren't exclusive to those consoles specifically, meaning that if these games are multi-platform, people are buying consoles to play these multi-platform games. We even saw with the sales charts this year that College Football 25, which was not on PC, I'm surprised EA didn't release that on PC. I feel like they're going to probably right that wrong going forward with the next releases to get even more sales out of it. But that's a game that was away for 10 years. People got really excited about it. They released it, and it's a third-party multi-platform game. People are actually running out and buying Xboxes for College Football 25, buying Xbox Series S's and stuff. Again, not a first-party game, which is always the discussion that we will see till the end of time here about first-party exclusives. Are those the main reason why people purchase consoles? My opinion, and I think the statistics and facts back it up, is that it is not the main reason why people do purchase consoles. but you'll always have people pushing that point home, especially now with the way that the industry is changing. If they're upset with the way things are going, it's always going to look back at console exclusives as why Xbox shouldn't put games in other places, why PlayStation should keep their games only on PlayStation. And then you have Nintendo, who is somewhat of an outlier. They do their thing, but even on the Nintendo platform, let's say Call of Duty or something comes out, it'll be interesting to see if their first party titles will surpass a game like Call of Duty on the Nintendo Switch 2, which I think will have the next Call of Duty game. We continue going down here. This list, the Grand Theft Auto 5 is number 4. Power World at number 5, which is huge, as this was released exclusively on the Xbox console this year before obviously coming out on PlayStation. But it was a game preview. This was a game that took the world by storm. It's actually ranked here as the biggest standalone release of 2024. And their latest updates that they did put out, I think, got a huge rejuvenation of gamers jumping in to play it. So that's a massive success. They've gone through a lot with facing down a Nintendo lawsuits. See Nintendo win a lot of their lawsuits against copyright, emulators, all of that type of stuff. And then the other interesting thing here is the biggest new traditional single player game was Dead Island 2, which is a phenomenal game, but that one to me was surprising to see just how much it did dominate with these numbers out here for this true achievements chart. So interesting stuff here. There's some other things here like Assassin's Creed Valhalla jumped way up the list. This is a game that released in 2020, but it jumped all the way up to number 34, and this is directly because it launched into Xbox Game Pass, and I love Assassin's Creed Valhalla, so that was cool to see. I jump into that game all the time since it's launched even in 2024. I still jump in and play it. Then they say the newest AC Assassin's Creed Mirage isn't even on, and it wasn't in the top 100 last year, so you can see people always are complaining when it comes to AC and the open world stuff, but it seems like it is the one that people enjoy playing more than the linear Assassin's Creed games. Then we also see some other stuff here that smaller indie games like Little Kitty Big City was 58, and I have to admit I downloaded that game and I did try because of Xbox Game Pass. It's a cat game, and it was okay. I didn't finish it, but it's a cat game, and that jumped up onto the list. And then they also say that Another Crap's Treasure made the list at 77, and Baldur's Gate 3, which is one of the best Xbox RPGs, they say finally arrived at Xbox at the end of last year and has made it to 78th on the chart. So that is just some other interesting facts in there within that list. And then Indiana Jones right now, I believe, is up there, but it is lower down as of right now. But this did also release at the beginning of December. It's number 32 right now. So in about a month, that's where it landed in the top 100. I'm sure that will go up as well as more people jump into Indiana Jones. So just some interesting stuff here. And yeah, the cool lister. I like taking a look at that stuff and seeing where these games do end up landing. I'm not sure if I switched back to it when I was talking about half of that stuff, but yeah, that is what is going on with that. Now, when it comes to Call of Duty Black Ops 6, a game that is one of the better Call of Duties released in recent years. And as soon as the PlayStation 5 Pro was announced, you had people making the jokes that first-party Xbox games are going to work better on the PS5 Pro because they're going to get PS5 Pro patches, and they will get PS5 Pro patches. Now, how well will those actually work? That is going to be the bigger question. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is one of those that had a PSSR issue, but it will be fixed in the near future. This is from Digital Foundry. They say that the game's principal rendering engineer, Mikhail Drobot, confirmed that the game's PSSR issues, which include white flickering pixels appearing in certain scenarios and smearing issues with ultra-fine details, will be addressed very soon, as fixes for these issues are already in the pipeline and will be rolled out soon once the relevant patch goes through QA. And reportedly, these issues are caused by PSSR not being fine-tuned for denoising the image in its current state, and as such works better in anti-aliasing the image but not denoising the flicker created by shadows, variable rate shading, and SSR. This is not the first time and probably not the last time that we are going to be talking and seeing this stuff with PSSR, as the way I'll call it, the beta of it gets more information, more games utilize it, and it just continues to get better. That's what the PS5 Pro essentially is in my mind, a beta test for the PS6 to get the PSSR, their AI upscaling technology, up to par with some of the better ones out there, gather information from these games. So when they do fully launch it out with the PlayStation 6, although, I mean, that's just the way I look at it, even though it's fully launched with the PS5 Pro, it will be in a far better state. The issue I have with this is a $700 console. The PSSR is basically the only reason why you would pick up a PlayStation 5 Pro. I mean, you're not picking it up for a better CPU. It's not worth the extra money for the increase in the overall GPU power because it really isn't that big. And all of the rumors that we were hearing about, like the teraflops and everything, were all debunked by Mark Cerny during his presentation when he called it flopflation, and that the numbers just weren't true. And they waited until the PlayStation 5 Pro was launched and sold out and everything to tell people that those numbers weren't real. And then you have PSSR here that just isn't working correctly at this point. So the PS5 Pro to me is not worth it right now. Will it be worth it in the future? Maybe if the price goes down a little bit. But we will see. What I'm most interested in is how PSSR evolves. I think the technology is probably great. I think it'll do very good things in the future with the PlayStation 6, and that will be a major competing factor for the next generation of consoles. How does PSSR stack up to what Xbox has in theirs, and maybe the Nintendo Switch too? They work with NVIDIA. Maybe they get some DLSS into the Nintendo Switch 2 that just does crazy things. Like, how will all of these companies compete and on the AI machine learning to give us these great experiences and to improve the way that these games look with taking off some of the load on the actual hardware itself? So we'll see how this does. But as of right now, PS5 Pro, not worth it in my opinion. It's still in its beta for the PSSR. Now, PlayStation, as we know, they've had some major success. Well, they've had a major success, not from a first party. Helldivers 2 was a major success for PlayStation, but that is a second party, you could say, not a first party studio that did create this game, but it is exclusive to the console on PlayStation. But then they had from their first parties Concord, and we all know the story about Concord. Cost about $400 million that they just lost completely on that. They canceled the game in like 6 days, and that was supposed to be the future of PlayStation. I mean, they even had a secret level episode for it. They were clearly looking at Concord as being the future of PlayStation, of something that they continue to have money coming in for a very long time. And that did not work out, but they need something out there, games as a service, multiplayer, to continue to compete with Xbox, because they have so many successes on their side for that. And they are going to continue down this road. And we have more information here. It says PlayStation isn't giving up on live service games anytime soon. In a recent interview with Japanese outlet Famitsu, PlayStation's co-CEO Herman Hulst said that the company still believes in the model despite recent hiccups like Concord. And I believe Concord was kind of his baby as well. Like, he pushed this one forward. I believe that's what I had read. So he has to make the next one a winner. I'm sure PlayStation will be scratching their head as to, is he the right man to be the co-CEO? He says here, the game business is constantly changing due to various factors, including technological advances, new genres, and ways of playing. However, one thing that remains constant is people's desire for great entertainment experiences and attention to games continue to grow. However, this has also created competition, and like many companies in the industry, we have had to make changes to our business to solidify a more sustainable operating base. And he continues saying that PlayStation will continue to focus on developing live service titles along with the story-driven single-player titles that our players want. And that is not a surprise at all. I mean, he clearly goes out here, mentions the competition, and I think that he is talking about Xbox and what they are doing, as well as getting their games into many different places. Talks about how the companies in the industry, they've had to change their businesses to solidify and be more sustainable operating base. Again, I think he is directly referring to how the industry has changed from what we previously looked at with everything locked away on specific different platforms to now everything being available pretty much everywhere, even PlayStation games. I mean, the reality is their first party games are on PC, and you can play those games on multiple different devices if you pick them up via Steam. So the industry is completely changing, and the fact that it costs so much money to make their cinematic single player experiences, they have to have something else out there that is continuously supplementing and bringing in revenue. And that's going to be multiplayer. That's going to be games as a service. My whole thought on PlayStation is, like, you guys have so many great IPs in the back catalog. Jump into those, put out multiplayer, give people what I've been asking for and wanting. Think about the kill zones. You think about bringing back potentially SOCOM. Think about Resistance. Like, you can make some great multiplayer games with these franchises turn them into games as a service. If the product is good, people will play them. Look at Marvel Rivals. Yes, Marvel IP, I think, brought in a lot of people into that game, but the actual game and product itself has been good, and that is a resounding success. So they have a lot that they could do, but they have to hit on it on the next one, and it'll be interesting to see what comes out. I think Fair Games is going to be one of their next big ones, but we'll see how that one does. I feel like they just got to jump into a piece of people wants that they've been clamoring for that haven't been out there for a while, and I think there would be a better chance of success there to bring one of those back. And I mean, I think canceling a game like Twisted Metal, which they were potentially going to bring back, was a bad move. The Last of Us, honestly, I'm sick of The Last of Us at this point, but I think canceling that multiplayer game would have been bad. People would have jumped in just for the name itself. But we'll move on here. We'll talk about Path of Exile 2, which again has been doing very good, but they have an issue here that is happening. They say Path of Exile 2 is in a security crisis after hackers raid players' accounts, stealing valuables, which obviously that can bring down a lot of people's enjoyment of the game and maybe make them move away and never want to play it again. So this is not a good thing right now. So at the moment, the reason behind these hacks is unknown, but clearly it's so that they can get their hands on the valuable resources that can help become powerful in the late game. They say the Path of Exile 2 finally made its way into early access, being highly anticipated by those who are fans of the CRPG genre. However, it seems that those who are in the late game have logged on to find their accounts have been compromised with highly valuable resources missing from their stash and their inventories. And since the inventories are shared between characters, this allows for easier leveling for any other classes that the player may try out. They say, most shockingly, it seems that the hackers managed to make it past the Steam 2FA without a bat of an eye. And some of those who were affected have said that they have received an email from someone trying to get into their account, but somehow they still managed to slide past the Steam 2FA anyway. And if that's easy to do, it means that the Steam will likely have a bigger problem than what is currently going on with Path of Exile 2. So yeah, there's two things here. I mean, one, it sucks for people who are losing their valuables. I mean, you spend a lot of hours in these types of games to get those and to be at the top, and to lose them because someone hacks it. It's honestly, it's draining. It sucks if you're that person out there. The second thing though, if this is via Steam, this could have effects on other games as well if they're bypassing 2FA to get into these via Steam. So we'll see if this has any other outreaching effects, or is this just focus on Path of Exile 2 because it is a really hot game right now. It's up and coming and people want to get the top fast. So they do things like this rather than actually going out there and playing them and earning it themselves. So we'll see if this does spread out. But unfortunately, Path of Exile 2 is going through something right now that would be a negative, I would say, with the overall release for the game. A couple more things here. SNK is creating a new studio for its fighting games, which is pretty cool. I mean, SNK has some phenomenal games, and they're coming out here to expand that out even more. It says here that they've announced the creation of their new studio for its fighting games called the King of Fighters Studios. And this role will be helped to further evolve the SNK fighting game IP. So if you're a fan of their fighting games, there's going to be more of them coming out. I mean, they're kind of in, I would say, like a rejuvenating stage with some new ones that are coming out. They are bringing back Fatal Fury City of the Wolf. This is scheduled to be released in 2025. And this is the first one since 1999. It was pretty interesting to see that. And then they're also a new action RPG Samurai Showdown game that is early in development. So they're taking their older IPs and they are trying to bring them back to prominence here. That's probably why they're opening up this new studio. And finally, Stardew Valley. Just a quick shout out to Stardew Valley. They have sold over 41 million copies, over 26 million on PC and 7.9 million on the Nintendo Switch. So it's just a huge success for that game. Never really got into it, but I know tons of people who love Stardew Valley. I'm going to end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video.